We're live? We're live. All right, what's going on, everyone? Today is a pretty big deal in the podcast world. We're on episode 100.
100.
It's a pretty big deal.
100 pounds of boost.
100 pounds of boost.
100 pounds of boost.
Everything's blowing up.
Let's get it.
Hey, Matt, why haven't we made 100 PSI of boost yet?
It's Ryan's fault.
I mean, it's probably my fault in some way, form, or fashion. It's probably some way.
Why has Alan Mayo's Camaro not made 100 PSI yet?
I mean...
Ooh, 100 PSI LTG?
It got real close, I believe, at one point on accident.
We're waiting for someone to surpass us first.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, that's never going to happen then, so
Yeah.
I guess, well.
No,
Sadly. Someone do it so we can do it. But housekeeping out of the way, we have some giveaways today. We rarely do those, so stick around for the whole podcast.
Can I win something?
No.
Oh. Well.
You can buy something, though, which you did today. Wink, wink, wink. You want to
Are you trying to plug our brand new crew shirts? Everyone look at our new crew shirts. We got these right here.
Show it off.
I call them the base model hoodies. It's a hoodie without the hood.
Yep.
They're crew necks. They're great.
necks.
They'll be on the website Monday, so stay tuned for those.
It looks good. Just self-note is they seem to run a little small maybe.
Yep.
So you might want to size up on them if you order them.
Mm-hmm.
But
So, guys, today we got some I'm just sitting in. Eventually, the big boss man, Zoom, will be here to take my place. We got big Matt Meekoff, one of the OGs, on with the other OG, Tim Beek, on podcast today.
Matt is so OG that he's like kind of pre-OG. Like Matt was the guy that was playing with Zoom's car, just tinkering with it, playing with it in his garage way before ZZP was a thing. So Matt's been around longer than me.
That's why there is a ZZP.
Yeah.
Because Zoom's car was the fastest one.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, what do you got?
Yeah.
Why is yours faster? And then Zoom, dollar signs
Yep.
roll out. I'm not going to make 3 of these. I'll make 1,000.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
Yep. I think one of the first products was a throttle body, right?
yep.
Yep. Zoom and Matt were playing around trying to see what they can do with a supercharged engine, because obviously superchargers don't like restriction in front of them. So, one of the first things that you do on a car like that is a bigger throttle body. So, Zoom and Matt are playing with it. They came up with something. It showed gains. He probably used a G-Tech back then.
No, it's all Stanton.
Okay, Stanton, so the drag strip.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's about the era though, like G-Tech era. And then everybody on the forums at the time, like Club
Forums.
GP,
I love forums.
were like, "Hey, we want that throttle body." So like Matt said, Zoom saw dollar signs, reproduced throttle bodies. We sold the crap out of them.
Is that when the website started, or did you
No.
sell them a weird way before?
We took PayPal payments.
Oh, and just DM or
Yeah,
messages?
this was before DMs,
Yeah.
dude. What is a DM back in
DMs didn't exist
2000?
back then,
How do you
Trevor.
message on a forum?
Private message, PM.
PM?
DM
Like
is
the
a...
time?
Can we get this guy out of here? Who let him in here?
He wasn't
Darn
born
kids.
I know. Oh, my God.
Yeah, but yeah, we took PayPal payments. That was my first job in ZZP. Well, my first job was porting exhaust manifolds in his garage, which was, I think, maybe product number 2,
Probably.
probably.
I mean, PayPal was only a few years old, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez.
It was. About
Yep.
2.
So I do want to kind of ask too. So Matt, how did you meet Zoom? Because I know because we all have a little bit. Well, all of us except for the young kid at the table right now have some street racing background and stuff. Tell us about how you met Zoom and how the history of the company kind of got started there.
Simple. Car audio.
Car audio?
Yeah.
Well, did you what was up with that? Did you
Zoom sold car audio, and I was buying from them.
Oh, okay.
That was big. In the 90s, that was big. Real big.
That makes sense because back in that's like everyone you got a sub or you got a box or something for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
we started building systems together, and then, just got into the cars. I had the Corvette, so he bought a 69 Camaro and modded them up.
Yeah, what Corvette? I don't because I don't think our viewers know which Corvette because you have a few Corvettes.
The C3.
You had a C3 vet back
Yeah,
then.
still have it.
Yeah, still has it, like, and making a good amount of power back then, too.
Supercharged it with a hand grinder and some scrap metal.
See?
Welded, welded a pulley together onto another pulley to make a crank pulley.
Yeah.
Like, you know, whatever makes it work.
Yeah. But it was, like, fast back then.
For the time.
Well, yeah, but so everyone, our viewers, you guys remember, like, a 11 or 12 second car back then was dummy fast.
Yeah.
That was dumb fast back then. Like,
Yeah.
There were dudes like he's downplaying that damn Corvette right now.
that's what I'm saying. I know he's downplaying the Corvette.
But like there were dudes that ran single digits, let's say, around town. Like you would hear about them. You'd hear about them pulling tire on the street racing, because street racing was huge.
Oh, yeah.
Then huge, but like Matt's vet ran like 11s, and 11s was ridiculously
that's fast.
Like Matt is one of the very few people I lost to in a street race.
Because you had a
That was NA, though.
Yeah.
It went 10-5.
Yeah. So, like, I lost to Matt. Like,
10-5?
he's one of the very few cars that I lost to.
Wait, hold on. 10.5, and what time was this? Like, what year?
01.
10.5
Yeah.
and 01?
That was still fast.
That's when the Fast and Furious was like, you got a 10-second car in that thing?
But nowadays, it's
Yeah, I mean,
it's a lot of stock cars.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is nuts.
Yeah, it's
but,
crazy.
But still,
Back then, yeah, it was fun.
10-second car back then
It was
is
racing bikes at that time.
Yeah.
like 600s and stuff, and they're all
900s.
jeez.
That was a long time ago. you
Yeah,
know.
and a
They run a
C3
lot faster now.
Yeah, but C3 Vet doing that back then, that's sweet. That's
It
cool.
was a death trap.
Yeah.
What it was.
Is that the car that had the steel cable that keeps the driver's seat in the car if you get in an accident?
Yeah. The seat's
Wait,
attached
what?
to fiberglass, so there's a cable that hooks the seat to the frame in case the car explodes when you crash.
So it just flops around
I
instead of.
suppose. you stay near the frame, I guess.
Oh no!
When you
Keeps the
crash.
body,
No.
like, with the car.
I don't know, dude. I saw that and thought, I hope that I never have to use that.
Oh no. Oh no. But so that's how you guys met. You guys, Zoom had the Camaro. You had the Vet. And eventually Zoom moved to the GTP. And man, I wish we had a picture to show people what Zoom's GTP originally
Oh my
looked at.
god. Well, his first one was just a 99 GTP all stock.
Oh.
Like that was a nice car. He leased
Okay.
it.
You leased it.
Okay.
But the one he bought was the riced out one.
Yeah, the
that
red
was the
one.
97. That had like a Supra wing on it, and it had like
Yeah.
it had a livery before liveries were a thing. Like it,
Checkered
it was,
flags.
Checkered flags. Oh my goodness.
yeah,
What?
yeah,
It was ridiculous. It was the only cheap one we could find.
yeah.
There he is.
There he is.
Guys, I'm tagging out for the boss man himself. You guys give it up for Zoom, the big boy, big CEO boss man. Here you go, man. All you.
We were just kind of talking, bring you up to speed. We were talking about you and Matt, how you got together with Car Audio, and how ZZP like initially started. You know, throttle body in the garage and ported exhaust manifolds in your garage, and
Yeah.
We got to about your first two technically Grand Prix,
yeah.
and I guess Tim, for those who haven't heard the story, how did you get connected with Zoom?
We were just street racing. Like we just had like the Rogers Plaza, and we just kind of ran into each other. We had mutual friends, and then we ended up street racing a few times, and then
This
Yeah.
was Eclipse days.
yeah, I had my Eclipse, and I was out murdering everybody but Matt, pretty much, and
You were faster than Zoom.
yeah, yep, I beat Zoom twice.
Yeah.
I think he sprayed it on the second race, the second time. Like we raced, I beat him, and then like a week or two went by, and you're like, I want a rematch. So we rematched, and I got you again. But I mean, honestly, like you didn't have a chance. You had a front-wheel drive car on the street.
Yeah.
Like I had an all-wheel drive Eclipse.
Oh.
like
That
that's
was like 12-second days, I think.
yeah, yep, for sure. Yeah, we were both running. Like I was running like 1240s then.
And that must have felt like it was blinding fast on the street back
On the street, yeah. I mean, the car would 60 foot better on the street than it would at the track.
then. Really?
Because at the track, the car would brake because you don't slip at all. But on the street, it would slip just enough to not brake.
Uh-huh.
So,
Yep.
Well-
shout out to Sebastian, Brad.
Yep.
What's up?
We got a lot of people in here, so just to fill you in, Zoom. Near the end, we got some trivia questions. We're going to do some giveaways to everyone in the chat to celebrate 100. And then until then, we're going to talk about some failed experiments at ZZP. I got a couple notes written down, but I'm sure you guys have a couple in your minds already.
So I wanted to jump in real quick, shift gears. We'll get right back to what you're doing. So this is off topic a bit. So I'm driving here and I'm thinking about what I like and don't like about our sport and our company and our cars, and ties into those old days. And one of the reasons we got into it and what we liked a lot back then is the tinkering. You know, is the tinkering, the talking, the street racing. You know, just the whole involvement of it, right? And as things transition a bit into electrics and a lot of talk about electric cars, I'm gonna say there's no tinkering with electrics, and when you do, we had one. We had a Model 3. Those that don't know, we're talking about fails, right? Here's a fail. So we had a Model 3, and got in a pretty small accident, I would say, with that car. Not something that would stop us for more than a week with another car. Mm-hmm. That fucking Model 3 got totaled.
Yep.
Right? That's why electrics aren't going to be a thing. Like, they're too expensive. You can't tinker with them. They're not fun in that way. You total your car when you get in a fender bender. It's ridiculous.
I think they're so fast out of the box. Like, let's talk about Teslas. They're so fast out of the box that, like, people just aren't ready for it. Mm-hmm. They're just not ready for it. Like, the day you bought your Plaid, Tyler and I were sitting at a four-way intersection. It's the last four-way intersection before we get back to ZZP to hand you the keys back. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, this is our last chance floor. Maybe we should launch. And I don't know, like, call it whatever. I kind of had like a spider sense. Don't floor it. We take off from the light normal, and a dude just turned into the right lane, like where we were. He was in the left lane going straight, and he just turned into the lane, no blinker. And I was like, I would have ate his rear bumper right there. Yeah. So that's kind of goes along with what you're saying. Like, electric cars are so freaking fast that, like, that accident with the Model 3 sliding over a rather mild curb sideways, like that wouldn't have happened with another car because you wouldn't be going warp speed in the parking lot.
But it looked like a rocker panel dent.
It
looked
it
like
really
get
did.
a new rocker panel and we'll be back on the road, right?
Yeah, like a Grand Prix, $50 at the junkyard.
Yeah,
Good
and
to
it
go.
was a car totaling experience. But kind of the point is, like, there are certain things that kill sports and things that kill modifying. One of the things, like the Grand Prix, still going strong, still love it, still making parts for it. As long as you guys buy parts, we're going to take that money. We're going to make new parts. We're going to get into that. And we might even talk about some new Grand Prix stuff we got, 3800 stuff we got coming. But like what are you supposed to do when you? One of the reasons that the 3800 didn't go even further than it did, but started getting to the point where the guys are like, I'm going to move on. It was the transmission, because once you could make 400 horsepower like that, then it moved into the next thing that broke, and the transmissions were just too expensive, right? And so the sport faded past that point. Well, when you have an electric and you total your entire car, if you have a small accident, you're done. So no one's going to do that again. No one's going to want to turn that into a sport. It's going to be, electrics are going to be a thing. They're coming. Everyone's going to be driving them. Yeah, but not for sport. Yeah. Not in our world, right? That's going to be like the Camry that gets you A to B, the person that doesn't want to fiddle. Like, we are tinkerers. How often do we talk about we don't like anything that works? We want stuff that has problems and breaks, right? Because then it becomes ours. We like to work on that and fix that. Which, shout out to the audience, one of the things that we talk about a lot, you guys might not know this, maybe you do. So in the office, we talk every single day. Group of car guys talking shit. Oh, did you see this article? Do you see this thing? Do you see this race? You see that thing between Lucid and Tesla and whatever. But something else we talk about are builds. And when you guys send in videos, pictures of your builds, and you've done something unique and something cool, I mean, it might be what others would think is a shit box. We sit around talking about that for a long time. Because we're like, did you see the swing arm offset or whatever, whatever particular weird thing that somebody did. If it's weird, if it doesn't make sense, it gives us more stuff to talk about. We want to see, like, that's why we work here. That's why we do what we do. We want to see from you guys what you're doing with our parts, what you're doing with parts that maybe you made, especially when it's unique. If you got a car that someone's not modding, if you got parts you're using in weird ways, modifications that you made, we love that. We want to see it. We want to talk about it because that makes our day, man. That's just why we come into work, is to see cool stuff.
Yeah, we're pretty much artists, and we see these cars and they're just blank canvases, like so many people, like I joke about it when you're around non-car people and you see this, like, I don't know, let's say a 240 SX or something. You see this car that has like okay body lines. I mean, stock, they're kind of ugly, but like you see what it can be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we all see
that's
it
what
totally
we
different.
do. That's what we do. We see this stock boring Park Avenue, let's say, and it's like, man, like, what do I think when I think Park Avenue? I think, holy sleeper car. Like, let's turbo the crap out of this and just run everybody. 550 wheel horsepower Park Avenue and just street race it on the highway. Like, that's cool. So, yeah, it's we love seeing customers
And
builds.
from you guys that love our attention and love our, like, kind of that extra support, maybe access to some things other people don't have, you send us something weird, we're going to be all about it. We're going to be like, did you see what Bob did with it? Like, can we send him some parts to, like, continue that? Like, I just want to see what happens, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's us, man. So
It is kind of interesting how a lot of our platforms progress to, we find the cookie cutter. You want 300 horsepower, you want 400 horsepower, here's the recipe. Done. And we see 1,000 of those come through. But then people get bored of that. And they want to find a different way to do it just to be different. And
Yep.
yeah. So on to your fails,
Yep.
I think.
Yeah, I'll get started with my list. But if you guys have any ideas, I mean, there's way more before I started working here. So any that pop in your head, just take over. I'll start with LTG 4-port injection.
That's who's that on? Is that Matt or that Tim?
I mean, Matt was the one that dynoed it, and he was a part of the R&D of it, I suppose. But, I don't know. On average, you see people put phenolic spacers on cars, and you see potentially good gains with it and whatnot. So and DIs have the problem of, intake valve coking. They get all gummed up from not having fuel flow across them and keeping them clean. So we're like, we need a aux kit for this LTG. And then they're like, well, let's make one that makes a lot of power. So let's put a intake spacer with an injector per cylinder and just hook it up. And then I'll let Matt take over. He was the one that dynoed it.
This was similar to the porting the LNF cylinder head.
Yeah, that's another one.
I don't think I heard about that.
I don't think the community knows yet that the LTG for auxiliary injectors right at the port ruins your combustion pattern. Ruins it. It's terrible. And I've seen others out there doing it, and they're dropping 50 horse at high RPM, and they don't know why. And they're denying it, saying, well, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. No, you're not. It's not going to come around. I can tell you that right now. Until you design it completely differently. You got to redesign the combustion chamber. Or redesign the injectors, put them somewhere different. But it's
Do
not.
you think
you're
this
not
is
going to tune it in.
Do you think this is a DI thing?
Yes.
So it's a DI thing. So the LNF ported head.
Well, you have a completely different strategy with combustion and a DI motor. And you lose all of the gains as soon as you do something like that. You know about the porting the LNF head, right?
Yep.
50 horsepower loss on a 30% flow gain.
Let's say, just to bring the audience up to time. So you have this LNF head and you look at it and you have these, like, we're pretty intelligent people here. We can imagine an airflow path through a cylinder head. And we're like, look at this short turn radius. This is terrible for airflow. we're going to port the short-term radius out of this, and the head's going to gain a ton of flow. Matt, you know the percent.
I think it was 34 to be exact.
We gained 34% airflow
On the intake side.
On the intake side, on a flow bench. And then what happened when you put it on the dyno?
We lost 50 horsepower.
Because it's DI, because that engine relies on flow and flame travel and all this because of that DI injector. Everything is crucial. You know, I can't imagine the engineering that GM puts into, you know, this to make sure it works when we've lost 50 horsepower on two totally different engines by playing with it. You know, it's wild.
We were able to get it back by adding 15 degrees of timing.
Most of it back though, right?
Got back to stock level.
It's a lot of money and work for
And
the same
had to
horsepower.
run higher octane and fight with the KR, and it was awful. Completely awful.
Yep. So that ported head that we had thousands of hours of it into just with, you know, R&D meetings, discussion, actual labor, labor to port the head, labor to swap the head, labor to have Matt on the dyno, which is an expensive employee, R&D employee, and you just basically take the head and you throw it in the scrap bin. You know, and ZZP has done that thousands of times, probably over our 22 or 3 years of business.
So many things. Well, I mean, that's just what we do. Right?
Yeah.
That's what we do all the time. And we talk about, like, hey, do this, try this. You know, it's like when we built a whole turbo kit for the 3800 back in the day. We didn't have as many resources. Now we can do things more efficiently, properly. So we don't do as many alternative methods to try and get the job done because, you know, we have our own computerized bender and, you know, things like that. But back then we didn't. So we built what we dubbed the Ultra Ass turbo kit.
Well, it didn't start there. No, we had SS was for the short stack intercooler, the single side turbo. We were using SS, and it performed so poorly that somebody put an A at the front and called it the ass turbo kit.
All right. Yeah, it didn't work. For
Oh,
those
yeah.
Yeah.
I remember it now. I forgot about it.
Yeah, driving a turbo off one bank of a V engine. It's not like it doesn't work good. There are some ideas so bad
Well,
that demodding is a mod. You know.
Wait, so 3 of the cylinders went to a turbo and the
Yep.
other 3 went straight out?
yeah, you would. It was really quick install. You put a front power log on that, mounted the turbo on the end of
Yeah.
it, and hooked right into the back manifold. So
Oh,
you
so
could,
it's a
you could
30-minute
install
install.
this thing. Yeah, if you could get the oil line done quick, you could have it done an hour or two. And I told Zoom, well, it only makes like 2 pounds of boost, maybe 1.5 pounds. And he said, well, it's better than nothing. I was like, no, no, it's clearly slower. Like you can feel how slow it is now, and it sounded awful.
Oh, no.
so bad.
It had 2 noises going on at the same time. It sounded like an NA exhaust and a buzzing sound coming from it at the same time.
I forgot about the ass turbo kit.
We didn't even try to fix it. It just threw it away.
Yeah, we've had some bad ideas. That was one of them.
Another one jumping off Grand Prix. So you had the supercharger, and I heard you tried to take that supercharger, put it on the Cobalt because it's bigger, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we did that.
And
I was
apparently
involved
that
in
did not work either.
Yep, we put an M90 on a Cobalt, and it had negative gains.
Because this one still pops up on Facebook groups.
Yeah.
Every 6 months or so, someone's like, I'm going to try to do this.
We even used a Gen 5 blower because that was the best one. The
Well,
M62 is still better.
The idea is good. When you think about like bigger blower, bigger power, people go, how is it possible? But then when you get into the science of it and you look at the volumetric efficiency curve, and you see that as the rotors spin faster, you get gains, certain types of gains in that kind of a blower. And when you're spinning the rotors slower, but the boost is higher, you get all that leak by on those rotors. And so it just doesn't work. I mean, not to mention, you know, the flow parameters aren't exactly even, and yeah, you get a negative gain.
Yeah, I mean, imagine putting a top fuel dragster blower on in a 3800. It's probably not going to perform very well because it's not the right application.
Not to say that a bigger blower doesn't work. It does. Like, you know, you put a TVS on, you're going to make big gains. You can put other blowers on, but that particular design, the low helical twist root style blower does not work well. I think if you had a high twist, it would probably work. They do better at pressure. So, but we did do an M112 conversion on a 3800.
Yep. Man, that
wasn't worth doing, but it was
no,
cool.
that was totally worth doing. That thing was cool as heck.
It was cool. And for those that wonder what happened to that product, I mean, for us, we had different routes we wanted to go, but we had another vendor ask us to buy the rights to it, and so we sold the rights to that product, as well as all of our in production components. I don't think they're still around.
No, there was one not too long ago that.
No, I mean
still
the vendor that did that.
Oh,
that bought
yeah.
that. I don't
No.
think so. Was that a Canadian guy?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
Just to bring you guys up to speed. So an M112 rotor pack is longer than an M90 rotor pack, obviously. So what ZZP did was we machined a blower housing extension spacer, basically, that allowed us to cram an M112 rotor pack into an M90. And this is like pre-Gen 5. So this is a Gen 3 blower housing
Yeah.
that we crammed this M112 rotor pack into.
And one of the reasons we wanted to do it was that we kind of got mocked and told it wouldn't work.
Yep.
By Scott Cook.
Yeah.
Surprise, surprise, right? So, you know, Scott lays the gauntlet down and, you know, we'll make anything work at that point.
And it worked, and it performed fairly well.
Well, we took
It was
first
an
place
upgrade.
at Scott's event
Yeah.
with it on the car,
What-
right? Henry Lucier?
Yeah, Henry Lucier's car.
Yeah.
Yep.
So at Norwalk.
And got kicked out for taking first place, too, if I recall.
Yeah. Yeah.
Show up
Because
to
it
his
was-
event, and
Yeah.
we had the fastest car.
If you can't beat them, cheat, I guess, is the motto over there. But yeah, those were high drama days.
Man.
But it was fun, man. It was fun just screwing around with bullshit all the time because there were no parts, right? And you just have this open slate where we're just trying all this stuff. Because, I mean, you're talking about a 14-second car. And they barely even sell 14-second cars anymore. You know, Kia's probably faster than
There are
14
probably
second.
minivans running 14s right now, like
Yeah.
stock.
But yeah, you know, I miss some of that. That's why we like seeing those customer unique
Yeah.
builds.
We'll talk about the fuel of the competition too. Matt was saying before you got here, Zoom, how far we've come with the LTG and why we haven't pushed it, but it's like no one's close.
Yeah.
So
It's been a two-edged sword because you look at like the ATS platform, which is huge. I mean, those cars are everywhere, and it should. You know, I said that long time ago. I said that should have been a $4 or $5 million market for us. You know, and it never got there. But it's great that we're kind of the only game in town. But it also sucks because we're not driven to do better.
Yeah.
So, and you know, when you're fractioned out and you have all these different markets going on at the same time and only a handful of guys, you're going to get the attention where the fun is, where the action is. You know, no one wants to go to a party and nobody's inside. You know, you want to jump into the chaos. And I think that's why we spent some resources probably more on the Sonic 1.4 platform lately than we did the ATS.
Yep. I don't even necessarily know why we chose that, but basically Zoom had a pretty much a company meeting and was like, hey, Al, make the Sonic fast. I don't care what it takes. Pretty much.
It was more
It
than
was
one
like a-
meeting. It was
It
an
was
ass
like a
chewing.
requirement, yeah.
It was a beatdown, and it was
Yeah.
an argument. And you also were giving me a bunch of shit about, I don't think the car could go. I don't think it could go that fast, Zoom. I don't think we can hit 11s with that car, right? And I said we could hit 10s. And then I get mocked
still
for
happens.
whatever, you know. So yeah, that was a lot of internal fighting, and you know, Al got all butthurt about it, I think, and
He brought me the keys one time. He's like, "You want the keys?" I said, "You know, if you hand me those keys, the car's going to run 10s, right?" And then a year later, he runs 10s.
But that's what it took. That's what it takes. So we have internal shit like that. You know, we're constantly doing development, especially for the newer guys, because I don't, you know, I get triggered. Someone says like, "Oh, that's impossible." I am so triggered.
If you want to
you
get
know?
Zoom going, just tell them something's impossible.
You remember when Brandon told me you couldn't take what was it, you couldn't get the lower intake off in X amount of time?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I go, do you want me to do it? And then that's what the amount of time I do it in is what I'll pay you from now on to do this job or something like that. No, because yeah, that's right. You know, motherfucker, you know I'll come and do that shit. So, yeah, I don't accept that around here. Like, you've got to deliver, and if you come with some weak game about like, oh, it's too hard, it's impossible, we can't make this, can't do that. No, there's no such thing as can't around here. It's just you're not trying or you haven't figured it out, you know, but we're not going to hear that stuff about can't. Especially because you see like, say, GM Racing and certain things that they've done or other things that people have done with other platforms and stuff. And I know the talent we have in the building. So it's like, really? You're gonna bow out and let other people make us look bad? You better deliver, right? But they did. Al did. Al and Tyler put a lot into that, and they delivered big. And and you know, where are we at with that platform? What time are we running with that little 1.4?
10/8 or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're not done. There's all kinds of room left in that car.
Yep.
However, we can't get anybody to come play with us. You know, everyone wants to talk game until they got to come do something. And
Yeah.
you know,
Still on stock transmission.
Yeah.
You put a race transmission in, it's going to drop a half a
On
second
a manual.
because he's slow shifting it.
Yeah.
And talk about a tinkerer's car. Like, what was it in the last year and a half? There's now eight Sonic Cruises around here, employees or ZZP cars.
I think 18.
I know Steve just counted it up, and we were all
Steve
like,
went through the shop. Like, you know, Becky's son has one with a V3 turbo and, you know, a tune. And,
Yep.
you know, I've got one. And
a few of our warehouse shipping guys all just bought them. And
two welders have them. Like, I think there's like 18 1.4s in the company. And we have like 3 or 4 shop cars that are just shop 1.4 turbo Cruises and Sonics. So yeah, I think that is the most popular car right now.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's a tinkering car. It's a fun car. It's a cute car. I mean, I even like them. You know, it's a zippy little quick car. I mean, mine's up and running again, forged engine, and my Sonic engine, we forged it. Went with the 1mm over pistons, and I decked the block and did the piston to head clearance and all that. I spool our KO4 at 2,800 RPM. That's a big turbo for a 1.4.
yeah.
It's well spooled by 3,000 RPM.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it had the pistons way down in the hole. Like, it's a thing. So
That seems to be a thing in all our platforms.
Yep.
If you've got a recessed piston,
Yep.
it's free power waiting for you to clearance that deck properly.
yeah, GM
Get
just
that
doesn't
guy.
want. They just want safety. They just want to not have a problem, so they just make it conservative. And then that just, you know, what sucks is that you have to assemble your whole engine, measure it, and then determine how much to deck your block. So that's like the difficult part, is that you have to assemble the whole engine first to even find out what you have to do.
Yeah, back in those
But-
3,800 days, I'd be looking for the pistons kissing that head.
Yep.
It would just keep going thinner with like doing different head gasket shims, pulling them apart to see.
Yep.
And once you saw it kissing, you knew that clearance. 'Cause it's hard to tell. You know, RPM, the piston rock in there, your rod stretch. You know, you get a range, like, you know, the Google will kind of give you the range of how much clearance you need, where they say usually 30 to 40 or something like
Yep,
that.
30 or less.
But every motor is going to be a little different in how far you can push it. But you do make power almost for free as you bring it closer and closer, well, until you have a catastrophic problem.
Well, it's a detonation issue. I mean, your fueling and timing's got to match the compression you gain from doing it. So, I mean, the engine becomes more and more efficient as you do it. But yeah, if you're trying to make big power on Minnesota 91, increasing your compression probably isn't the greatest idea. I mean, I know Matt and I are talking about all the time. Like, it blows my mind, the fuel quality difference between all these states. And it seems like Minnesota is a problem.
That's been hard for our business in a way.
Yeah.
Because Michigan has good fuel.
Great fuel, the best fuel.
When we use our gas, or when a customer drives in, or whatever it is, and the car's good to go, and we customers get mad, but we do let the cars out of here conservatively, because people get even more mad when their cars blow up.
Yep.
So we put a
Quote
little
'em on
cushion
that.
in there, and even with that, customers in certain states will get home and have problems. And we're just like, what is going on? And the fuel is garbage in some of these areas. Well, it doesn't help if you go to Loaf and Jug.
Yeah.
Well, these customers, man, stop saving money. Buy brand name fuel.
If this other gas station is 14 cents a gallon cheaper, it's probably for a reason.
Yep.
To go along with the Loaf and Jug, there was I don't remember the Loaf and Jug story. I think that was a Matt customer, but like, we built a twin charge Cobalt back in the day. I think it made 380 wheel horsepower, if I recall. 380, 420, somewhere in between there. Car runs great. Customer pays, picks it up, takes it home, blows it up over the weekend. I think he picked it up on a Friday, blew it up by Monday. Brings the car back, and like, this is kind of in the beginning of our Cobalt days. So we're like, you know what? Bring the car in. Like, we're not going to say if this is a warranty or not. It's his stock engine, it blows up. So he brings it to us. We find an engine, we put it together, because that was before we had forged pistons for these things. We put it all back together. Matt puts it on the dyno, and the car lost like 100 horsepower, if I recall.
Well, I turned the boost control all the way down.
Okay.
And it still had like 6 degrees of KR. Air fuel was off a full point. Couldn't figure it out. A full point. Showing richer. But getting KR. It's environmental fuel. Some Minnesota special fuel for the environment. Not for race cars.
Matt spends a bunch of time on the dyno trying to get it to work, right? And we're scratching our heads. Finally, Matt's like, it was probably me back then in the install bay, and he's like, Tim, get this fuel out of this car. So we pump the tank. We put our gas back in. Matt flashes our tune that he left with. Boom. Car runs perfect, right back to the same power. What do you do? Like, and we still have people that like want to not, like, they don't want a remote tune. Like, the first scan, and Matt and I already know, like, here we go. We got a garbage fuel car. Like, and here's another one. Like, E85 isn't even, don't assume your E85 is great. It can have okay ethanol percentage and still be garbage. I've had to tell customers, like, hey, run this tank of E85 out. Just put 93 back in it, and let's see what the next scan looks like. Car fixed.
Wow.
The not ethanol in E85 is 70 octane, like, natural gas.
Do you notice a like state or region for the 85, or is that just random?
It's just random. There are just some E85 that's just garbage. I mean, and the more not ethanol in it, the worse the octane is. I mean, if you have E60, I mean, I don't know what the math says on that, but it's probably 87 octane. By the time you cut that 110 octane or whatever it is with 70, it's you can't assume. HP tuners or some kind of scan tool is a must-have now. You got to make sure you don't have KR, especially on these DI cars that are so prone to detonation. Scanning and making sure you don't have KR is so crucial.
What else we got on the list?
Last big thing I wanted to get on my list, Matt, I know you kind of made a little comment earlier about transmissions, the Sonic being a manual, but the auto swap in two-tone Cobalt, I don't know anything about this, actually. Al just told me before I went up here. He's like, ask Matt about the auto swap.
It
Cobalt.
worked well. It just, it was the only drag car, so.
It wouldn't drive down the street with it or anything?
Well, I mean, it's just boring.
Oh.
You know, nobody
Was
wanted to drive it that
The
way.
auto trans from a
It's like a
Cobalt?
17,000 stall converter.
It was a Grand Prix training.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 4T65.
It's a typical GM racing transmission.
Is that what they used
Yeah,
too?
I think it was 4,200 stall or something like that, and it was.
Had some wild gears in it too.
It
if
went
I
down
recall.
the track great.
Huh.
Ran. What did we run? The nines?
Yep.
980s.
980s, I think. Yep.
145. I mean, it is getting it for a Cobalt.
So at what point did you decide you needed to swap from the manual to that? Because I assume you had the F40 by then, right?
No,
Yeah, I don't think so.
we didn't have
I
F40s
don't
yet.
think we had it at that time.
We were just grenading F35s and everything, so it was
Yeah.
not really an option.
We knew the 4T65 well, so it was easy.
Yeah, you
Put
had
it,
all
put
the
it in there,
parts.
went to the track twice and ran nines. It just worked. Shifting it at close to 10,000. It performed great, but what do you do with a car like that?
Yeah, it
You know.
it did its job, and
Yeah.
that's it.
Of course, Ryan wanted to put it back to a stick right away and go street racing, so when we got the 6-speed going, that went in it.
So that was the first 6-speed car too, then? The drag Cobalt?
No, the black one was the first one,
Mm-hmm.
but then he wanted one.
I think that's the one we have the video on our YouTube of doing a burnout all the way down the back lot area.
Probably.
You guys have any other last failures you can think of that you want to touch on? Else I'll jump into these giveaways for whoever's still watching us.
Oh man,
I'm sure there's a million more, but
there's a lot of them. I remember when we used bilge pumps for intercoolers, and it worked extremely well. They just didn't last. So, that creates a problem. You get maybe a year out of them, and that was that. We had a few brake kits that didn't work very well. Just whatever combination of caliper, pressure, rotor didn't work very well. I mean, our customers don't see a lot of what doesn't work.
Yeah.
Right? And, again, to reiterate the business, like, I know it sounds like bullshit, but we are a different kind of company, and your money is appreciated. Your support to the customers is appreciated. We love it because it gives us an opportunity to do more of what we like to do, which then gives you more options and parts. So as long as customers are supporting a platform, we're still going to be making parts. Did we release the revised SS today?
Yesterday or the day before, yeah.
Yeah. So that's one of those things, right? Like we have an intercooler for the 3800. We've had that intercooler 10 years?
Yeah.
At least, probably.
At least, yep.
Yeah. We have no reason to redo that thing, right? We're the only ones selling it, and we're making money. And but if we have a platform that's supported, and 3800 guys do still support the platform, we're still going to redesign, redevelop, and constantly push that thing forward. And so that's what we do. When you see those new parts on our site, and you're gonna keep seeing them. We've got a whole line of stuff we're doing with that green stuff in the motors now. Since we've had good luck with that, you'll see that across all the platforms soon. We just keep going, and it's fun. It's fun to watch customers be able to do more and more because they have access to parts to do cool stuff.
I think we released the SS intercooler in 2004. So that means the full size has been around even longer.
Yeah. Okay.
Because that was when I had my 97 Grand Prix that was on.
Yeah. So 9 years later, we redesign it to improve performance, really, and simplify the routing, hose routing, things like that.
Kyla just mentioned, does it have to be car parts? What about the time we hired a 6-person marketing team that didn't know anything about cars?
Yeah, a lot of business development as well. Like you have a group of guys that had no idea what they were doing business-wise, myself included, sort of. So yeah, we tried a lot of stuff, man. A lot of failed websites.
That's a whole podcast in itself.
That is, yeah, a lot of failed softwares, a lot of failed ideas, separating the team, bad idea when we had the marketing team upstairs. That was a bad idea. Yeah, I don't know, a lot of stuff. But the original recipe still is the best recipe. You get people who love the sport and love the cars, and they buy the cars, so they know the cars, and everyone you talk to at ZZP is driving ZZP cars and knows ZZP cars. So you have this whole group of people that you have access to. You know, we don't outsource to India for customer service and stuff like that. Like, yeah, you can just get a hold of anybody. That's I love that. And I love that we can all talk about the same kind of stuff. You know, you got this, like, a bunch of buddies, and then when we bring someone in, now we have these groups of, like, hey, do we want to let, you know, Bob come in, which we got a new employee coming, bringing some talent
Coming in a month or two, right?
March 15 or 13.
Some of you in the chat
on
might know
a
him.
Monday,
but-
yeah. Going to be taking is it a slasher role or an engineering slash role?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he's in there. He's right in the chat right now.
The old throw them in and let them find their place type deal.
Yeah, that's what we do. We're like, hey, everybody bombard this individual with questions and ZZP, and let's see where the chips fall, right? So yeah, you just end up doing stuff like with the bender, right? Hey, we just spent $1 million on a bender. We never really thought about who's going to use it though. who's gonna make parts? Who can we got? And someone just volunteers. Like, yeah, I can tackle that, and so that's what we do.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
Well, we got less than 10 minutes left. I'm going to start some of these. I know you guys still have questions, but we'll get to them in another podcast. We want to give some stuff away. Any of you guys, I know your time is valuable. If you need to get out of here, feel free, but some of the trivia is going to be fun. So, Eric, what do you think? What do we want to give away first? I know we've got some detail spray, some shirts, and some gift cards. So we're doing 2 of each.
Start with some detail spray.
Detail spray. So 1 bottle of detail spray. So how this is going to work is we'll ask the question. Everyone in the chat right now, the first one to get it right, we'll call you out, and then you email marketing@ZZPerformance.com, and then we'll get you set up from there. So question number 1. Everyone in the chat ready? Name the date of the first ZZP live stream. Not podcast, the first live stream. I got to give it a second because there's a delay, but I don't know if any of you guys know. I'm the only one with notes here. I'm kind of
Live
thinking.
stream was literally you and 2 other people just staring at your phones, basically.
Yeah. It was real awkward for a long time before we got comfortable with it.
Do you want to add the second one in at the same time?
Yeah, I guess we can keep them going because someone will get this right. 2002? No, much later. January 6, 2020? Also no. 2020 is the right year, though.
It's close.
I'll throw in a second question here. Who were the first 3 ZZP employees to appear on the very first podcast episode? January 6. I know, Eric, you probably have better eyes on the chat anyways, so yeah, okay. Just making sure if we miss any. There's nothing wrong with guessing, and you have unlimited choices, so just keep spamming the chat. Al doesn't even know that. I'm going to keep going through the questions, and then we'll just...
Chime in the 300 horsepower cruise. Yeah, man. Of course we have a tune for that 2000 Park Avenue Ultra, for sure.
Al, Ryan, and Trevor? Nope. Not Al.
Who's the guy that has the Buick Park Ave? That old customer knows me well.
It's Matt's guy.
It's oh man, I feel bad. I should know that.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank, too.
I know while you're thinking about that, I just saw Michigan Sound Wizard. He just came into the shop for the first time today. We didn't get a real chance to say hi, but he was talking to Bo, and he turned around and he's like, "That's Michigan Sound Wizard." And that was pretty cool because we've been hanging out in the live stream for a year now, but none of us have put a name to a face, so good to see you in here again.
All right, repeat your questions and then move
Yep.
on to the next one.
So number 1, Eric, I don't know if...
Rob got the name one.
Rob got the name?
Turbo got the name one.
All right, Rob SS Turbo. Email marketing at ZZPerformance.com. Next question still open, I believe. Who were the first 3 ZZP employees to appear on the very first podcast? And number 3, what was the podcast called before it was the ZZ Performance Power Hour? This one should be easy. Come on, guys. I'll just keep going down the list. You still good on the chat, Eric?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So maybe one of you guys might know this or not. What is the only non-ZZP platform car to be featured on a podcast episode? Let me know if you remember that one. We've had one podcast where we talked about a completely different platform that we don't deal with. No? Here's a hint. We had 2 of our shipping members on the podcast. They own this platform. Or they
Is
did.
this a question for us or the audience?
I mean,
I
let me
think
know if you know it. We'll let the audience answer it.
I think I know, but only because
Oh,
I know their
Ethan
vehicles.
Vink. It was Subarus,
Yeah,
yep.
I thought it was
Yeah.
Subarus.
Uh-huh.
Just because I know we got some guys into those.
Yeah, we were comparing the costs of Subaru parts versus Cobalt parts, which vastly different. All right, going down the list again. Next up, how many turbo setups do Al and Ryan have combined? Like, from the moment they got Ryan's Snowball and Al's Honey Badger, how many different turbos have been on those cars?
Oh, jeez.
17.
Oh, it's more than that.
Okay.
We did a podcast about a
Wow.
year ago where we counted them, and it was a crazy number then, and we had to update the number because they both added, I think it was 3 to each of those. 20 is close. A little more. 36 turbo. 22. 4 sevens.
4 sevens. There you go.
All right, email in to marketing at ZZ Performance. We will get you hooked up. Did anyone get the first 3 people, Eric?
Yes.
Okay.
Nobody got the date yet, though.
Nobody got the date? Okay.
Podcast date.
First date of a ZZP live stream. Keep guessing that one. And the very last question. Which ZZP Power Hour live stream has the most views of all time? It's actually kind of an interesting one. Not one I would guess. But, I mean, if you guys... Everyone's still guessing
No
the
idea.
turbos. Yeah, it's... What was it, 22 turbos between the 2 of them? I think Al is still edging Ryan out because he's had so many compound setups is the only reason.
Oh, I remember you were talking about Brett Ward.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
480 horse, Park Avenue. To the wheels.
When was this?
05 maybe?
Long time ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this
He's
was
OG.
2 buildings ago? Or was that across the street?
It was DHP tuned. On a conservative dyno.
Yeah, we didn't have a dyno. So we're using someone else's
It was
dyno.
Motor City Steel. It was a little conservative. When we got there, there was a V8 turbo Trans Am putting down 138.
A V8.
1980, 1979. And I was like, ooh. And the guy tuner said, no, that's about right. That's what they make. 5 liters.
Was the guy upset
One-
about it, or
No, it was all factory. It was a nice car. Made 138, and we're like, all right. And then we strapped down a 3.8 liter V6 and put on 480 right after.
And that was that even off the shelf parts at the time, or was that like a custom build?
That was custom, but that was the T67. We've sold lots of
Yeah,
them.
eventually brought those
He was
kits
the
to
first one.
market. Yeah.
In fact, he was the one that spec'd it.
Oh, really?
And it worked so well. It just is a big turbo in the Grand National market. So that's what he bought, and it was perfect.
And out of all the cars up Park Avenue.
Like Zoom said, it's like driving a waterbed.
Yeah.
Literally was like driving a fast waterbed down the highway.
Wasn't he doing Roger B stuff? And then the cops came, but they didn't know it was him.
Yeah, he had a
switch.
electric cutout.
Yeah. The cops came.
Oh, it was silent.
To
with
quiet
that
the
closed.
exhaust.
Completely silent with that thing closed. So he's ripping passes. And cops come up, pull him over, and he
Park Avenue.
just whisper silent. Vroom, vroom. Wasn't me. I don't know.
I guess I don't know the first one. I'm sure you grabbed it, Eric. But the most viewed live stream by quite a bit is the Tech Talk on air intakes.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
Fun fact. The
interesting.
From what we've seen from the live streams, people enjoy the very detailed tech talks on very basic concepts. So we were talking about, the diameter of the piping, the length of the runner, fender well versus engine, stuff like that. But our most viewed podcast by a couple hundred views, isn't it, Eric? Do you remember off the top of your head or no?
It was, yeah, it was a few
Yeah,
hundred views, but yeah, like all of them have had like 1,500, 1,800 more
Yeah.
views than your average.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, like quite a bit.
I see a bunch of people in the chat talking about their favorite episodes, and I guess we want to say 100 episodes. We are glad you're here. Thanks for showing up. We'll get to your emails on Monday and get you everything you want. So keep letting us know ideas you want to hear on the podcast. We like talking to you, and as long as you guys keep supporting us, we'll be able to do this every Friday. So thank you guys for joining us. If anyone has any last thoughts, close it off.
I'm
Else,
good.
should we do the traditional, what are you doing this weekend? Zoom, what are you up to?
Working. Always working.
Can't turn the brain off, right?
I'll be at the Sparta House working. Hoping to finish it up this weekend.
Nice.
Yep.
Matt,
SRX. Almost done.
almost done.
Cadillac SRX.
Yeah. Auction score.
That's a rebuild and sell.
$1,500. Just easy fix. Just, yeah. Daily driver.
How many auction rebuilds did you do last year? Do you remember? You did about one every couple of months, didn't you?
Probably 5 or 6. But, yeah, just throw in these lowball offers. Sometimes they go through.
When are you going to announce your new toy?
Yeah, that's
Is that for
we've been
another
keeping it
podcast?
hush hush, but
Okay. Well,
it's good to throw the little hints in
we
there.
can
It
bring
is
up in
episode
another-
100.
Yeah.
Bring it up another time. If we want.
Is there a
101.
really obscure hint we can give?
Oh, I think that's enough hint.
Someone will
new
figure it
toy
out.
is enough hint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
New toy. Keep asking us about it because it's funny, but we'll tell you when we're ready.
I could
Yeah.
throw them off with a pretty big hint.
What is it?
It was free.
Kinda.
This toy was free.
The most expensive free ever, yes.
Yeah. Sounds like a kid.
Yeah. So I'll say new platform coming soon.
We got it. Have we even announced our other new platform? Are we have parts out yet for the
Steve's?
GM Tyler's drive?
Oh, the ER?
Yeah.
Not
Not officially,
no.
Okay.
We're dabbling in the Volt and ER market, so we're figuring out right now what parts crossover from other platforms, and we'll develop a line of parts for the Volt, and ER, primarily handling stuff since, as Zoom said, it's an electric car, so there's
It's
not
both.
as much to.
It's both. So, and there's a lot of things that can be fixed on it. There's a lot of room for improvement on that car. So that could be neat.
I'm starting to think that half of the people that show up to the podcast is just for leaked information at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, well,
slips
they
out.
definitely get a couple of insides that
Oh,
no one
yeah.
else has. Yeah.
What are you up to this weekend, Tim?
No big plans, but ZZP Dominican Republic trip is Thursday, so definitely doing some packing for that. One of the benefits of working here is the company takes us to Dominican Republic for like 4 or 5 days.
Yep.
So that's going to be a good time.
Yep. And
So I apologize in advance because our customer service team will maybe be down a little bit for a few days, but
we'll make it work.
everybody's
We'll
got to take vacation sometime.
Tyler and I can sub in. So we're going over to your place actually Saturday.
Yep.
Kyla, the VP, just got a new puppy, so we're going to watch them while you guys are gone and see how that goes.
Yeah.
And then it's Kate's birthday, so wish her a happy birthday. I don't think she's in the chat today, but we'll do something.
He's guessing 2.7 Silverado.
It's a pretty good guess.
It's not a bad guess.
Yeah, it is a good guess.
Maybe someday. We'll see.
We've discussed it a few times.
You guys just keep thinking about that one.
We have discussed hiring software engineers, not for the electric vehicle hacks, but just because it would be helpful in a lot of the platforms. But hiring anyone is very difficult.
Man.
I would say, and it's twice as hard here as anywhere else because we don't hire for talent. First, we hire for fit, and then we say, "What's your talent?" Okay, you got both. Now you can come on board. We don't. I mean, this is too much fun to have somebody come in and spoil it. We don't like hanging out with. You know.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, at this point right now, like, we don't want anybody that doesn't already have a job. So we're kind of at that point to where we have to start, like, sniping people. Like, hey, we want this guy for this reason or that reason, or if somebody just wants to work here, which it is a great place. I mean, Dominican Republic trips, like, every year.
Playing with race cars.
You know, yeah, race cars. Like, there are people that search us out and they're like, hey, we want to work there. But, you know, like Zoom said, I mean, first off, the personality's got to fit very well. And then after that, then we talk talent.
Yep. Let us know if you guys want to see a podcast on people, hiring strategies. I know we've been trying to get Kyla back on the podcast. That'd be pretty good. You and Kyla.
Maybe when the new guy starts.
That'd be
We
throw him in.
Yeah. Trial by fire. And ask him on podcast why did you want to work here?
Ooh. Ooh.
Oh boy.
On that note, I think we close it out. You guys have a good weekend. Thanks for 100 podcasts.